Studio on the road. We're live at Three Sirens in East Nashville with Ida May, Chris, and Steph. It's wonderful to see you again. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, man, you guys sound really, really good. I'm excited to share what you do with our audience right now. We're hearing 4 songs off of Click Click Domino, which just recently came out. And what are you sharing with us first today?
We'll do Raining for You, which is the first song we recorded for the new album.
Sad songs shine like diamonds. They whisper and they keep you all alone. In that stillness, you began to rust. You know a heartbeat ain't enough without some love. The night keeps calling, the sky keeps falling, and I keep raining for you. Paper thin, and my name can't be tattooed with your skin. It will fade out in time, far beyond the shadows and the shine. Night keeps calling, sky keeps falling, and I keep raining for you.
Man, this is
you.
great. Thank you so much for sharing this music. I've been listening to the record a lot lately. I enjoy it very much. And that was your first outing in terms of turning the knobs and pushing the faders and doing it all yourselves, right? But you had excellent teachers to then get into the commander's chair.
Yeah, it was our first self-production.
Yeah, we've been very lucky to work with some amazing producers over the years. Ethan Johns and T-Bone just before the pandemic happened as well. And it wasn't necessarily our plan to self-produce. We had much grander plans to have, bring everyone out and track all of our band in the UK in an abandoned mansion house that we'd found in Nashville, Tennessee.
Nice.
But of course the pandemic happened. It all went out the window. And we kind of thought, before the world really...
Yeah, before we get too anxious, we should probably make
before everything stops, we'll just start tracking. So that's what we did, converted the house kind of into a studio, spent all of our pocket money on studio gear, and just went to work, really.
Good. So then the environment that we're in right now, I mean, Alyssa and Doug have been wonderful to us and welcoming us into this home/traveling artist home/recording studio. It's used in so many ways. It probably feels similar to the vibe that you guys set up, isn't it?
A little grander. There was no chandeliers, but
this is
the wide shot is just not wide enough to show that chandelier. Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
It is glorious. The internet. You need to know that. Let's see. Yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, I know what I was going to say next. It seems like this format, the Paste magazine thing, which we went in New York in 2019, I think, when you guys were touring behind Chasing Lights. And this vibe and this format is set up for exactly that. Single take, double take. There's no such thing as an overdub here.
Yeah, that's how we tracked most of the record, was completely live. Even though it was just the two of us in the living room, we tracked vocals as much as we could live. And then, we ended up sending off the tracks to Ethan Johns, who played drums in the UK, and our bass player, who was in lockdown in London. So it was recorded kind of around the world, but the main bulk of everything that you hear on the record was...
It's a miracle that it hangs together.
Yeah, it was completely live. Yeah, it was a huge risk. But it was good in some ways, because a lot of our friends that were on the road who guested on the record, like Jake Kiska and Marcus King, they were all grounded in Nashville as well. So we were able to get kind of guest appearances and friends hanging out that we weren't able to had the world been open and everything was touring. I think the record would have sounded very different,
Yeah, well, man, it sounds glorious here in this room to me. I cannot wait to hear the broadcast mix that's going out to the internet. I have no doubt that Juan is killing it. When we listen to this after the fact, we're all going to be very pleased. You guys sound great, and let's move on to some more greatness. There's a second song coming up from Click Click Domino. What is that song?
The title track, I believe.
This is Click Click Domino. The first time we've kind of done this.
Let's see if I can tambourine, play synth and keys, and sing all at the same time.
Okay, good luck, Steph.
Aesthetic, apathetic, kind, mighty Aphrodite. Now the prima donna playboy got you playing for a new toy. Pretty as a cupcake, cheap as a deep fake. Come on. Another waster in the rhinestone drop zone. Another click, click, domino. Another landfill, buzzkill, PBI and cheap fill. Play it out, domino. Populism, politics. You be my princess till you're made sick. You know I bought it all on credit, 'cause you can't push the product if you're looking like you made it. Ice melting on the frontier, hear the jets clicking into gear. Pushed out of plastic, comfy on elastic, come on. Now the waster in the rhinestone drop zone. Now the click, click, domino. Now the landfill buzzkill, baby, I'm cheap thrill. Play it out, domino. Play it out, domino. Never put you on the guest list. Your mama's little chauvinist. Like a Motorola flip phone, updated, outgrown. Play it out, domino. Another waster in the rhinestone drop zone. Another click, click, domino. Another landfill buzzkill, baby, I'm cheap thrill. Play it out, domino.
Man, that sounds good. So back when being a touring musician was a normal thing that musicians were doing, that was, in my understanding, is how this record was conceived, and a lot of it's written on tour, doing the most American thing possible, literally touring with Willie Nelson across. I mean, that's right in the middle of American culture. You guys nailed it, and Alison Krauss. Can you talk a little bit about how the record went, some of the experiences that then were translated into this record?
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge, we've been in love with, American music and Americana and the way that has bleeded into English folk music and everything that we grew up on, and as British, suburban kids, and as well grew up on the kind of mythology of Kerouac and, the Great American, growing up on Easy Rider and seeing those films and coming out and experiencing America and, in all its huge contrast and dynamic. And we came out as independent artists, so no real label as such at the time we came out, and we're still proudly independent with our own little label, and we did the majority of the touring in a car,
just us,
and our friend Albert for some of it as well. But pretty much it was us traveling, I don't know, 250,000 miles or something, and doing we think 44 states. In about 2.5 years.
We
were
did a
just
lot of
non-stop.
miles, and there's sort of negatives to that, obviously, because it's exhausting. But also the positives are we could come off the road whenever we wanted and visit little towns and go, okay, let's have breakfast in this town here. I've just like looked up this town. Let's go see this. And
Yeah,
it's very
avoid the
inspiring.
interstates as much as possible and drive the state roads and the roads that have been there for 100 years.
Yeah,
And because
exactly.
we make our money on the road, so I mean, every show we were at, at the merch stands, we've probably met,
Meeting
I don't know
people.
how many thousands of people
Back
that
when you
we've
could
met.
shake
Back when we could shake hands and sell CDs, and so it was quite an incredible moment. And so the writing of the record was really done, crunched up in the back of the car, surrounded by flight cases. I had a lot of voice memos of guitar riffs and piano parts, and I was writing kind of poetry and lyrics on my phone memos as well. And because I didn't have time to sit down with a glass of wine and the grand piano and the beautiful studio to write, I was just literally without a guitar writing the words to some of these songs without a guitar in hand, listening to the guitar riffs and then looking through the lyrics and poems and trying to connect it that way, so that it was really written quite literally whilst traveling, whilst moving, a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Which is a nice thing to capture, I think, for us.
Yeah, especially after everything ground to a halt.
Yeah.
Listening, like recording the tracks and then not being on the road for like 8 months, and like I feel like you can hear that we're on the road, and I don't know if we'll get another record like that, because we were so.
It really added to some of the atmosphere. There's a song, Road to Avalon, the first track on the album, that has just this, for me, even for us, has this eerie atmosphere, and I think it's part of that, being on the road so much and travelling, and then just being grounded with all that unknown out there.
Did you literally end up using field recordings of stuff that like Alan Lomax style from out there on the road, or was it the vibe that's on the record and not a literal field recording?
We have a few.
There is a few. Yeah, there is a few bits and
Having
pieces.
crazy conversations, or there's music, or fun fairs, or weird sound. We always.
Yeah,
voice
there's
note it.
some. Yeah, before Long Gone and Heartworn, there's some chat before, and there's a few
Yeah,
other
and Click
moments.
Click Domino. I
Click
think
Click
there's
Domino.
Like a service station or something.
Yeah, there is a few.
And
We
a few
did try and
birds,
capture it.
unintentionally, quite a lot of birds on there, because outside the house in
Yeah.
Nashville were a lot of birds. So
Totally,
probably
we're about to go
recorded.
record in Belle Meade tomorrow through Saturday, and the birds are all over it. The
Wow.
coyotes get into it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty mad. The train whistle late at night as well.
Yeah.
The cicadas now, those are going to be unavoidable
Yeah.
and delightful. Yeah. Well, we'll do an instrumentation change, and actually, I want to sort of continue
Yes.
on this topic. I'm curious about, so now that touring is, we'll come back to sort of normal at some point and be traveling again, but since that was such a large part of the inspiration of Click Click Domino, what else are you looking at now to keep you inspired for songwriting going forward? Are you gardening or cooking, or like what's the thing that you use to reset and inspire?
We're absolutely awful. We have no hobbies other than music,
We
really.
don't,
Do we?
do.
I mean,
someone asked us the other day, and we were like, eating.
yeah, we don't do a huge amount.
actually got-
Steph is an amazing painter. She paints and does artwork and does a lot of sketch work. And I also I took a lot of film photography for the last album. So there's a whole photography book that also goes along with Click Click Domino called Road to Avalon. There's not many copies, but it's on our website, that documents 300 pictures of our travels. So we'll stare at photographers and we'll stare
Yeah,
at
we'll do
artwork and
that.
that sort of thing.
I think we got quite inspired as well, because we went home. I don't know who I'm talking to now. We went home for some of the pandemic, and we've always been very into the history of American music, and I think Chris had a sudden revelation of, hang on, I want to go further back in my English music.
Yeah,
and
I think
folk.
the kind of the archaeology of Americana music, but it's always been fascinating to me, the fabric of Americana and what it's made up of, and its history and its roots and the cross pollination, and of course being in America and doing those pilgrimages to places like Muscle Shoals or Clarksdale or Nashville or whatever. That's been an important moment. But going back to the UK, it gave us time to think about what I grew up with, which was a lot of Nick Drake and John Martin, and going out and seeing Martin Simpson and Richard and Linda Thompson and this sort of thing. And it made
Could I see you on that vocal mic?
Yeah.
Thank you.
and it made me just think about how all those things draw together a little more. So we've actually written probably 10 songs from the next album.
You were ready to go again.
They're exploring more instruments and tunings and song forms, and it also gave us some time to do some homework, because when you're on the road a lot,
Yeah,
you don't have much
really.
time to kind of practice or play songs that aren't songs that naturally develop live. So it actually gave us time to think about song form and lyrics and going back. And also, even the area I grew up in musically, I didn't realise how rich it was growing up in a place called Norfolk in England. It's where some of the earliest kind of folk songs were captured in the UK and where those songs came from and how they filtered down through the generations. And it's just, yeah, it helped us just dive more into that, which has been fascinating. So
Good.
lots to inspire us, actually.
Good. Well, thank you for sharing the music and some words behind the music. We appreciate it very much. It's always great to see you. And we're only halfway through. There's still 2 more songs coming up from Click Click Domino. What's third today?
Next is Line on the Page. And this is a song all about being on the road. Give us a sec, Steph. Just tune this. Tune this. Morgan Le Fay here.
Can't you hear them calling? Baby, throw that stone, we'll just see where it lands. But I can feel it falling, 'cause tonight we're screaming in the choir. We're just two lost souls running to the wire with the bright lights shaking like a twisted chain. Tonight we'll get a little spinning with desire, and then backstage, write another line on the page. Tonight, we're screaming in the choir, we're just two lost souls running to the wire with the bright lights shaking like a twisting chain. Tonight, get a little higher in the helter skelter, spinning with desire, and then backstage, write another line on the page. Write another line on the page. Oh, channel, write another line on the page. Hey.
Thank you.
Chris, what's happening with the? Is your guitar tuned like way far down, or is there a pedal thing that's adding? Like that's maybe the deepest tone I've ever heard out of an electric guitar.
Well, thank you ever so much. Yeah, it is. I'm experimenting with more wild tunings, and that's why we're laughing, because we've played this song, not really in front of anyone yet, just 17 different ways with pianos and keyboards.
I also keep slowing down to almost a stop, so Chris is like...
And this is tuned down to like this crazy kind of folk open C tuning, and it's a pretty wild sounding guitar anyway. So you tune this thing down, it just becomes like a church organ. So
yeah, it feels like it's like they're almost about to start rattling because they're so loose, but they didn't. I mean, it seems like they're right there on the line.
Yeah. And I typically go out of tune quite a lot anyway, so I just kind of roll with it.
Man, well, you're doing great so far here today. And sticking with kind of the theme of you guys nailing American culture and creating American culture, Newport Folk happened for you this year, which is tremendous. And I know you are students of music and appreciate and understand the history and where you fit into the context of that. What was that whole experience like for you?
It was
the last one before George passed, right?
Yes.
Just before.
It was incredibly special, actually. It was a huge moment for us because it is this kind of, like you said, beacon of American culture, and it means so much musically, and also just what it did during that, the coffee house scene for a lot of the blues players, as well as bluegrass and folk music in general.
And we grew up watching it on, YouTube. Watching
videos and a lot of like I say, we've grown up with all sorts of music, but my early guitar heroes, playing slide, as a lot of those 1920s country blues players, people like Booker White and Son House and Blind Willie McTell, and Booker White and Son House played Newport, and it was quite a surreal experience because I wanted to pay homage in some way to those heroes, those foundation stones of rock and roll and Western popular music as we know it today. And so that's what we did. We played Newport, and it was an incredible moment to be part of the fabric of that festival, our songs. But then also I threw in a medley of my heroes at the end, played some of that guitar style on that main stage, looking out across the water, 50 years on, which it's just, if you think about that, it's very strange, culturally, how these things come together. Very special moment, very privileged.
Flag with our names on it.
Oh, nice.
We did get a flag with our names on it.
Very exciting.
It's pretty exciting.
I feel very connected to that festival because, like that archive in the New York studio, when that still existed, was full of those tapes. I mean, there's a Bucka White tape, and every one of them. There's also the Newport Jazz Festival as well. So there's like John Coltrane from 1966, but this reel that's sitting 4 feet from my desk that's the one was on the deck that day in '66, and you guys got to take that tour, and it's awesome to have come around full circle and then created your own version of that history that hopefully in 50 years someone's going to say, dude, look at this hard drive, man. You know that Ida May played that thing?
It was a surreal moment. It really was, yeah, for us little British kids.
Yeah, well, thank you again so much for doing this, and we have one more song coming up from the record. What's the last song today?
It's going to be a song called Calico.
This is a song called Calico, Coming Down. This is one we wrote. We wrote this. I'll just talk about wild tunings. This is an even stranger tuning.
Is that even lower than the last one you just played?
It is,
Hello,
yes.
Calico.
So we were, a lot of these drives have been quite incredible. Just seeing the geography of America is, someone asked us what's the greatest things about kind of living over here and traveling as much as we have, and the geography and being a piece of the land, and it's been a huge privilege. And this is on a drive. We were driving from the desert into Colorado for the first time, where Colorado kind of begins to open up like a book. It just becomes 3D and everything goes green and there's mountains. And we stopped in this tiny town, or we just drove through it, right? On the Mesa something, I've forgotten the name of it.
It's called Junction, the town.
The town was called Junction, and it happened to be their prom night. So the sun was coming down, there's all these red rocks and dust, and this huge plateau.
Ages,
and there's no one in the desert, and all of a sudden there was these young teenage kids and families, and it was prom night, and they're all dressed up, and this kind of strange, magical moment kind of happened. And anyway, so we wrote the song that night. I think it's the first time we've played this.
It is.
Other than on the record, so be kind.
String lights and dog fights out on the mesa. It's prom night in Junction. It's cut out in letters, shadows and dust, white skirts and rust. Burn on the frontier like you knew they must. Jet plane shine above the town. Calico colors coming down. Calico colors coming down. Valentines and cheap wine, spinning silhouettes. Marilyn and Cobain sharing backdoor cigarettes. Sweethearts and cowboys twisting up like sparks. Fathers in their kitchens drinking whiskey in the dark. Hear that barking lonely hound. Calico colors coming down. Calico colors coming down. up your kisses as the hall begins to clear. Cinderella's on the dance floor in a swimming pool of tears. Shadows and dust, white skirts and rust, the emptiness of those hills, that deep, dark hush. Someone will have to wear the crown. Calico colors coming down. Calico colors coming down. Calico colors coming down.
All right, thank you so much. I like that song a lot. I like the entire new batch of songs, and we'll very much stay tuned for when the next one comes out. And we'll be, I'll be here doing this, not in this room. I don't know what we're gonna do. We'll see
Where's
it.
going to be next?
Yeah, somewhere. But travel safe between now and then, and best of continued luck on the record.